Hello, and welcome back to Path of Exile. Well, these next couple of dungeon levels are going to be even more dangerous than usual, and the reason is, some of them are going to explode with fire attacks. Now, I've defended myself to cold, but when I tried to get a fire defense ring, I ran into a problem. The ring is very useful for its intended purpose, but I need to gain a couple of levels before I can use it. Which means I'm gonna just have to dodge really well. I'm taking bets right now on how well things go. Well, the good news is, some of the enemies do in fact use cold, and for that I'll be just fine. And this is one of the things I like about Path of Exile, which is, in most action role-playing games I've played, in the early levels you'll get gear with a fire defensive, or any element defensive, 3%. So if I get 5 of those, hooray, I've got 15% elemental defense. I'm immortal now. Whereas this game, if you're willing to spend your ring slots on elemental defense against one particular thing, you can get it up significantly with not too much investment. Let me show you the details. Right now my cold resistance is 71%, which is not something I've seen a lot in other games of this type. Of course, later on there's going to be complications, because there's always complications. But for now, things are going okay. So, the enemies here are the minions of Mervale, the Act 1 boss. Oh! That is Volatile Flame Blood. Now, volatile enemies are known to be the killers of players. Whoa! So, hooray for teleportation skills. What what volatile elemental blood does is it creates an orb that follows you and explodes. And that explosion depends on many things, including the health of the monster you just killed. It used to be that they just exploded right where they were, which was great for ranged characters like myself, but a lot less great for melee characters. And of course, a ranged character could always get cornered. So overall, I think that a mechanic that threatens any character type but is also inherently avoidable is a really smart change. So thank you, game developers. Okay. I was just thinking about how the difference in economy changes a lot of little things as well, such as identify and portal scrolls. Well, they drop frequently, but they cannot really be bought, so it kind of emphasizes more care in how you use things like that. Because even in the late game you can run out if you don't pay attention. Hey, yeah, sure thing.
I barely recognize myself.
Alright. This node and 2 more, and then I'll be done with defense for the time being and move on to a bit more aggressiveness when it comes to my leveling nodes. By the way, those ghosts that look a lot like sailors, like these, for example. These are people who encountered Mervale or her children sometime in the past. Well, that's the sort of thing we're dealing with right now. Of course, I'm not doing this because my character is a nice person or anything. Quite the opposite. It's just that she happens to be in our way. Oh, you might have noticed that I'm leveling at a fairly brisk pace. Of course, if you're familiar with this sort of game, you know that one should not get used to that. Detonate Dead is still not as strong as I need it to be. Oh well. I'll work something out. Well, this next floor is a good place to demonstrate something, and I'll call it an adjustment to my build. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. This is a totem. It uses spells for me. Looks pretty nice, right? Well, the particular spell it's using is especially nice to put on a totem because you can't move while you're casting it, and it decreases enemy fire resistance, especially the longer they stay in a beam. So having someone else do that, or something else do that, very nice. The drawback? Yeah, you might have guessed it. Spell Totem uses a stat other than intelligence to level up. So this one uses strength. So, I had to make an adjustment to my gear. Specifically, I have a belt which increases strength, but to get that, I had to remove my previous belt which increased energy shield. Yeah. Decreasing my defense in favor of offense is very often unwise in this game. My hope is that this defense-lowering death beam will balance out by helping me to kill things faster. Whoa, better get out of here. Will things actually work that way? Who knows? the other issue with this is that the color of sockets that you get in a piece of gear is heavily influenced by the stats required for the gear. For example, energy shield gear, which is to say the kind that I rely on for survival, tends to require intelligence to use. And intelligence gear tends to have blue slots in it. And red slots appear in gear that requires strength. Green slots tend to appear in gear that requires dexterity. Obviously, this isn't a rule that's set in stone, otherwise a lot of the stuff that I was doing would be pretty much impossible. However, the numbers are skewed in that direction, which tends to make a build like mine, which requires lots of different colored slots, a little troublesome. Those piles of gold would be tempting if gold had any use in this game. I do believe this is the boss room. Well, let's go. This is why I wanted all that cold resistance. Okay. Wow. There we go. It took me a while to just avoid things long enough to get my energy shield back. Yeah. Bear in mind that I'm taking less than a third of the damage that I would be taking without resistances. It really pays to be prepared. By the way, most of the spells that she uses are player spells with extra modifications or skins added. There's probably a way to emulate all of these things. I also know that she used to cast Cold Snap, which was especially troublesome because it was essentially unavoidable and could freeze you, thus setting you up for more hits. And this is her second form, which is slightly disappointing because it seems like kind of a palette swap, but whatever. And these are the added monsters, which you can recharge your flasks on if necessary. Oh boy. Resist or not, it's unwise to stand in those water pillars. Oh. Go away.
Wife, 'twas love that did this to you.
Yeah. Sure thing. Unfortunately, none of these things are especially usable for me. Oh well. I'm sure I'll come up with something else that will fit my character later on. And now that Mervale is dead, all the piles of gold are straw, the precious pottery and vases of things are junk. Yeah, so there was a lot of enchantment around that place. Ooh, very nice effect. I salute the developers.
It's nice to see there's still some life in this twitching corpse of a continent.
Maybe. The life is not friendly, though. Alright, what does this thing have? Group Frenzy on Death. Alright. Good to know. I'll try and kill the other things first. Resists fire, I'll fix that. By the way, you can tell how new I am to this build by noting that I did not use my flame totem at all during that boss fight, even though it would have been, no doubt, very useful. Well, live and learn. Okay, Chaos Shard, Binding Shard. No Engineering Shard, though. I'm a little disappointed. That's a... Nah, that's not an improvement. Oh, don't worry, though. Even though I wasn't able to use my Ring of Fire against that fire sub-boss... Oh, by the way, I noticed that there were no exploding enemies there. They must have changed that. I guess I figured it was a little spicy for Act 1 out of 10. But there'll be times in the future where I need that fire resist, so don't worry. Oh, other allies cannot die. As you can imagine, that particular enemy mod can be very troublesome in the right circumstances. Just for clarification, when you check an enemy and it has a tag that refers to allies, that refers to other monsters, not you or your allies. Well, this particular zone reinforces my opinion that apes are generally evil. My goal right now is to get to the first town in Act 2. Alright. So one of the things that I need to get used to, life regen, some allies deal substantial extra physical damage? Oh, wow. Okay then. It helps a lot to check monster mods.
Too much clutter.
Oh yeah, probably picked up some things. Well, I don't need this. What, really? Inventory management. It is the best thing. And now that I'm level 16, I can use that fire ring, but I don't need to just yet. Well, so as I was saying, the Scorching Ray Totem is not some last-ditch costly special attack. I really should put it down whenever there's a fight. That's something I need to get used to. Well, that sort of thing happens a lot to me when I try a build that I haven't experienced before. Woohoo. Thank you, friendly exit pointer. Ah, new faces. Let's see if these people are happy to see us.
I am bruised. I hunt more, hunt to feed my people. You are not a friend to us. You need to run faster than Boar.
This is Path of Exile. What did you expect would happen? Well, I think that's a good point to call it a day. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you later.